So there are three meanings to baptism, three reasons why we do it. I mean, if it's not about salvation, the big question is, so what? Why? Three reasons, and the first one is the most important one, really, and that is it's your testimony. For crying out loud, that's what it is. It's your profession of faith. It's not a profession of faith, it's the profession of faith. Now, I know in churches, we have different ways of professing Christ. People say, well, we're going to have an invitation, and people are going to be standing up here, and we want you to come down the aisle, and we want you. Why do we do that? Because we don't have the baptismal waters ready all the time. Most of the churches don't. In fact, some churches, the first church I ever pastored, did not even have a baptismal pool. They had a creek coming off from a river right beside the church, and that's where we baptized. And so we couldn't do it in the wintertime, not in North Georgia. You can't even do it this time of the year in North Georgia. And so we had to borrow a baptism if we wanted to do it anytime during the late fall, winter, or early spring. Only could baptize 4 or 5 months really out of the year. And so you need to do something right now, right? I mean, isn't that what we've been talking about all year? Whatever God tells you to do it right now. And so we have this invitation, and people come forward and say, I receive Jesus into my heart, or I want to receive Jesus into my heart. But that's not New Testament. That's something that man's invented because we're not always near a body of water. And you need to respond to God immediately. The New Testament way of doing this was to be baptized. In fact, if you have not been baptized, you have not made a profession of faith, according to the Scripture. This is what the Bible teaches. This is what it's all about. And you say, well, it's not that big of a deal, is it? But according to Chuck Colson, he writes this. The late Chuck Colson wrote, most Westerners take baptism for granted, but for many in the world, the act requires immense courage. In countries like Nepal, it once meant imprisonment. For Soviet or Chinese believers, it was like signing their own death warrant. I had an experience of this when some people from Russia immigrated to our country, really escaped prison there, and came to our country, and they escaped there for their faith. And they were belonging to our church. They were members of our church there in Atlanta. And so I asked them about profession of faith, about baptism, because I think I preached on this or something one Sunday. And the guy came up to me in broken English. He said, if you were in Russia and just say you're a Christian, nothing really happens to you. That's the old Soviet bloc. He said, but if you get baptized, you immediately get persecuted. You lose your job. He said, I lost my job. And they found reasons to put me in jail. They follow you around and see where you're going to go worship. Because what is the world saying? He says, unless you're serious about your faith, we're not going to mess with you. Anybody can say they're a believer. But are you going to take a stand for the Lord? Are you going to make a profession of faith in Jesus Christ?